Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be covering cover letters. I get lots of questions on, should I still have a cover letter? Does anybody even read them? Well, today we're going to dive into cover letters and I'm going to tell you why yes, you still should have a cover letter. You just need to think a little different about it. Now, before we get started, as always, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to our channel. Hit that bell for notifications so you'll be notified as we release new videos. And as always, if you like this video at the end, please give us a thumbs up as it really helps our channel. Let's get started. Let's begin today by addressing the question, does anybody even read my cover letter? Well, the answer truly is probably not. There are very few people that are going to make it all the way through your cover letter. If it does happen, it's going to be later on in the process when you're really getting to the point where you're talking with the hiring manager as opposed to the talent acquisition team. But your cover letter can really help you early on in the process. Now, if you've watched any of our videos before, you hear me talk all the time about keywords, and that is how your cover letter is going to help you. Every word on your cover letter has the opportunity to be a key word for the position that you're looking for. And keywords, again, are so important as companies and recruiting firms are doing searches. They can't look at the millions and millions of candidates any other way than by using search filters and gates. So they enter in different keywords. And the more those keywords appear on your resume and cover letter and other documents, the more you come up in their search. The other thing about cover letters that you really don't get a chance to do on your resume is when you have a cover letter, it's really an opportunity to connect you and your skills and experience to the exact job that you're applying for. Now, I do in our resume format 2020 video, which I highly recommend you watch if you haven't, talk with you about how to quickly and easily adjust your resume for every position you apply for. And you should be doing that if you're not. It will absolutely set you apart from other candidates. But your cover letter is another place where you may want to consider doing that. There's not always the opportunity to fit all of your soft skills in your resume, and your cover letter will let you actually take everything that's amazing about you and take all your skills and experience that are needed for the job and kind of mesh them together into one document. So I do recommend you have a cover letter. Now let's think about how a cover letter or the verbiage from a cover letter can help you with your entire job search process. Every time that you send in a resume to somebody electronically, you're not going to want to just send an email with the resume attached and no verbiage. By taking the time to work on the base data for a cover letter, you'll be able to include that every single time you send an email to someone. Now, I do recommend you change it up some, right? You don't want to send the exact same data to everybody, and you always want to try and customize. But it will get you that much further if you already have that base data put together in a cover letter. Now, let's get into the actual parts of a cover letter. Everybody rolls their eyes at me when I tell them they need to have a cover letter. I know it's not fun to create and do one, so I'm going to help. Let's take a look at all the different parts and I'll give you some tips and tricks of what to include in each and every section. Let's go. Let's start by taking a look at the parts of a cover letter. The first thing you're going to want is contact data, a salutation or greeting, an opening paragraph, a middle paragraph, a closing paragraph, and a signature block. Let's take a moment to go in depth into each of these sections. For your contact data, where appropriate, you want to add recognizable certifications after your name. For example, if you hold a CPA designation, or if you're a professional engineer, or have some other type of certification where people are used to associating those small acronyms with a particular certification, you're going to want to put that after your name. You're trying to catch the attention of the hiring manager or the member of the talent acquisition team so that they look more in depth at your cover letter. You also want to make sure you include a phone number and an email address. Now, this is very important whether you're doing it in a hard copy or if you're doing it as an email cover letter. Anytime that you can include your contact data and make it easier for them to find a way to get back in touch with you, the better. The last thing you don't really need to do when you're looking at your contact data is you don't have to list your street address. It's enough to list the city and state and zip code that you're in. Moving on to the salutation or the greeting, you do want to make sure that you're avoiding greetings that are gender specific. Dear sir, dear madam, you want to just stay away from them as much as you can. If you do know a specific person's name, then use it by all means. Just make sure you spell it correctly. If you're not sure what type of salutation to use, some that I recommend are dear hiring team or dear hiring manager, or you can even just say greetings, and that can be enough. So let's talk about the opening paragraph. In your opening paragraph, you want to start by stating the position that you're applying for. Now, if you're applying for a very specific position, list the specific position. If you're sending in a more generalized cover letter, you're going to have to just give your more generalized title. The next thing you want to do is state how you found out about the position. Were you doing research on them as a company? Did you see it on a job board? Or if you're a referral, make sure you mention the name of the person that referred you. I even highlight those persons' names by bolding it. And that way it really comes to the attention of the hiring manager or the talent acquisition team that you are an employee referral. Remember, that is always the best way to get in with the job is through someone you know. Other things you want to make sure you're doing on that opening paragraph is stating in about 1 to 2 sentences why you believe that you're a great fit for this position. You want to focus more on hard skills. Remember, at this part of the process, most times they're trying to narrow down this huge candidate pool. So make it easy by listing some of the hard skills that you see are requirements for that position. You're next going to want to move on to the middle paragraph. And the middle paragraph should be focused much more on accomplishments, things that are accomplishments that actually relate to the position that you are applying for. It can get very wordy when you're looking at accomplishments. So if it is too much text, make sure you're using bullets. Remember, bullets are much easier to read and will actually draw the reader down through a document. You do need to make these accomplishments compelling. You want them to see part of it and want to read through the whole sentence. You can make them more compelling by explaining the what, the how, and the result. If you need more details on this, go view our video that's on the 2020 resume format, and it will definitely give you more examples and information on this. For a closing paragraph, you want to focus on how you are fitting into the company. Now, this is the part where I recommend you actually do look at some of your soft skills or their culture. If you know that they are an organization that has a huge drive for innovation, that's a great thing to focus on in the closing paragraph. Or hopefully you've done your research and you've seen their mission, their vision, and their value statement. And you can take this time in the closing paragraph to really align yourself with the company and how you fit into that mission, vision, or values. Now, there's no reason to go through all 3 of these. Pick what you think you have the best connection with. You do want to then end that closing paragraph with a call to action. Things like, I look forward to hearing from you soon, or I look forward to having the opportunity to discuss my qualifications further with the team. You have to do a little bit of a balancing act with this one. You don't want to push too hard and say, I will call you on Tuesday at 9 a.m. to discuss my qualifications further. That can be coming off a little bit too strong. So make sure you do a call of action, just don't come off too terribly strong in it. The last thing you want to have is your signature block. And there's several different terms that you can use for your signature block. You can say regards, from, sincerely, whatever you feel best represents you is fine. You can also, if you're having this document in a letter format that you're going to be giving somebody, choose to use an electronic signature if needed. So don't worry if you're like, oh, I can't sign it and scan it back in. This is not a big deal. People are very familiar with electronic signatures nowadays. Some important additional considerations when you're creating this cover letter. Please double check for typos and good grammar. I realize at the end of creating this cover letter, you're not going to want to look at it ever again because it can be a frustrating process to do, but you do need to read through it several times and edit as necessary to make sure there's no typos and that you're utilizing great grammar. If a document is going to be given to someone, please make sure that you have narrow margins set. Now, if you're wondering why would I ever use narrow margins, again, go back and view our 2020 resume format, which will explain why this is very important. But let me give you the quick highlight. The eye is naturally drawn to white space on a document. And you want any time that anybody's looking at your cover letter to be focused on you, your skills, and the words on the page, not on these giant white margins. This is a marketing 101 thing. You definitely want narrow margins. The next thing that I do recommend is if you're on a Mac or an Apple computer, Microsoft Word is the standard in business. And so you either need to save it as a Microsoft Word document or you can save it as a PDF. But if you turn in a cover letter or a resume for that fact in a format other than Word or a PDF, sometimes some individuals will have a really hard time opening that document. Remember, make yourself easy throughout this entire process. Another additional important consideration is make sure you're using a common font. This is not the time to show artistic indulgence. You want to make sure whatever font you use is going to be readable by the person and or the applicant tracking system that is looking at your documentation. And you need to consider this when you're doing a cover letter, not only for the main text, but also if you're doing an electronic signature, choose a very common electronic signature font, one like Script. You don't want to choose one that's too far out of the box or one that is brand new that maybe somebody won't have a way on their system to view it and it ends up changing it to just like Wingdings. So make sure you're using a common font. Let's talk about some things that you should not do on a cover letter. Please do not include salary information. There's lots of requirements now in the US on salary and what can and cannot be asked. We have a separate video that does talk about the salary question. My recommendation for you on your cover letter is completely stay away from salary information. If you need to have a conversation with that, that's what you want it to be, a conversation, not black and white on a paper that there's no negotiation that can occur. The next thing you should not do on a cover letter is include personal information that does not apply to the job. It's great if you like to take long walks and read books, but you only have the attention of the hiring team for a short amount of time. Focus them on things that are going to get you a job. And lastly, do not go over one page on a cover letter. Now, for those of you that have already watched our Resume 2020 video, you know that I think very different about resumes, that you should not have a one-page resume unless you have less than 5 years experience, because more is more on keywords on a resume. But on a cover letter, I do recommend you don't go over one page. Okay. Now that we've reviewed all the different parts of a cover letter and how you can pretty easily put one together, I hope you all will take the challenge and create a cover letter for yourself. Remember, your full-time job when you're looking for a job is to find that job. Take the time. Don't get distracted. These little tips and tricks that our team is giving you will help you land your next role. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on our next video.